Powerful yet speedy, this dual boiler is simple enough for novices to use successfully, yet packed with advanced capabilities to satisfy hobbyist brewers, whether it's being used at home or in a shared space like an office or even an Airbnb. And it's all wrapped in a sleek package that reminds us that when it comes to style, Rocket is king. Hey, coffee lovers, Mark here from Latte Love with a new take on the dual boiler from Rocket Espresso. The Bicocca. You know, sometimes machines with advanced capabilities can be a little intimidating. Those without much experience in the art of espresso might be overwhelmed by the controls and variables. But with the Bicocca, once the machine is set up, just about anybody can make an espresso that easily parallels what you would get in a specialty cafe. Seriously, if you've never pulled a shot of espresso in your life, you can learn to brew cafe quality beverages on the Bicocca in less than 2 minutes. But what if you want to explore how tweaking group head temperature changes the acidity of your shot? How about experimenting with pre-infusion time to coax maximum sweetness from a dark roast? The Bicocca puts this power and more at your disposal. You know, where I really see this machine shining is in a home or office setting where you've got both espresso experts who want to play around with all the variables and total novices who would rather just press a button and get a delicious drink using the same machine. So what makes that possible? Well, it's plumbable, so there's no need to refill the reservoir. It's got time of day programming, so you don't even have to turn it on in the morning. And most importantly, it's got highly automated workflows where everything from incredibly accurate brew temperatures to precise extraction volumes can be preset to produce the perfect shot with this simple press of a button. Coming up, I'll give you a full guided tour of this machine. I'll cover the innovative heated group head that gives you fast heat up times, incredibly consistent brew temperatures, and high capacity for serving groups. Walk you through the basics of operating the 3.5-inch color touchscreen menus and show you the more advanced features as well. I'll take you through a simple grind, tamp, and twist method for espresso brewing, and of course, share the results of our performance testing, including 11 back-to-back skates tests at 30-second intervals, milk frothing performance, and cold start times. And later, my good buddy Todd will pay us a visit for a complete internal tour. There's some really interesting stuff going on under the hood of the Bicocca. You don't want to miss that. Finally, I'll give some advice for accessories you may want to pair with this machine. I've got a couple of grinder recommendations, including one that really helps make brewing espresso on this thing as easy as pushing a button. Ultimately, I'll help you decide if the Bicocca is the right espresso machine for you, your coworkers, and your guests. You know, like everything Rocket makes, the Bicocca is visually striking. The name Bicocca loosely translates to castle on a hill, and you can see that namesake in the machine's design. The sloped bottom, well, there's your hill, and the thing is palatial in scale. The design inspiration comes from the ashlar, a chiseled stone block used in the finest ancient architecture, and yet the Bicocca is sleek and modern with a mirrored steel front panel that contrasts beautifully with a matte black bodywork. You can also get it in mirror finished stainless steel if that's more your aesthetic. The design of this group head is an exciting new endeavor for Rocket. Their philosophy has always been to not use displays on their machines because, well, they take away from the overall aesthetic. With the Bicocca, they've achieved a best of both worlds situation. The display is on top of the group head, so you get that functionality and convenience without taking away from the look of the machine. And because of the internal heater in here, this baby is fully ready to brew in about 10 minutes from a cold start. The Bicocca is an efficient machine thanks to the electronically heated group head and plumbable rotary pump. As we'll see in my test results, it's capable of rapid firing double shots of espresso every 30 seconds. You can make drink after drink for crowds, whether at the office, a party, or at that bed and breakfast I mentioned. You know, thermal stability at the group head is extremely important for consistent brewing results, and most machines have some sort of process for keeping group temperature stable. You got, like thermosiphons, flooded groups, or ring groups in direct contact with a boiler are all well-established methods for achieving thermal stability. Now, the Bicocca does something totally different. It uses a PID-controlled electric heater to keep the group head at precisely the temperature you want it. You can set this temperature separately from the boiler and adjust in 1 degree Fahrenheit increments. This is novel technology, and it offers all sorts of benefits when it comes to brewing. The machine heats up very quickly, under 12 minutes from cold to brew ready. It also achieves in portafilter brew temperatures almost instantly. Where we generally discount the first 10 seconds of any case test as a portafilter comes up to temperature, there's no need for that here. It also provides truly astonishing brew temperature stability, even when pulling back-to-back shots. I performed 11 back-to-back case tests in under 11 minutes. I'll share those incredible results in our testing segment. The display gives you access to menus for adjusting just about every setting you could imagine on a machine like this. There's a lot going on here, so I'm just going to take you through some of the highlights. But first, let's take a look at the information you get from the main screen. Up top is time. Across the bottom is the current service boiler pressure. Touch the 3 drops to run a flush of the group. I love that, as I always do a quick flush before pulling a shot. Flush time is programmable up to 3 seconds. Current boiler temperature is in the lower right. When either boiler is heating, the numbers might blink as the PID uses short cycles for very accurate temperatures. On the left side, press to enter user menus, and the bottom switches between the 2 available settings for the single and double shot buttons. Those glow white when set 1 is active and yellow for set 2. To the right are selections for counters and the washing menu. During an extraction, the screen changes, showing brewing system pressure up top. Progress bars show pre-infusion on the left and extraction on the right, and you get a shot timer center screen. Dose programming on the Bicocca is done volumetrically. Set single and double shot doses anywhere from 10 to 1,000 milliliters, and save 2 different liquid volume options for each dose, which you switch between on the main menu display. For instance, and here's an opportunity to get a little geeky, you could set up a single shot with pre-infusion and one without, so you can compare the differences in your results. Using auto learning mode, you can start and stop an extraction manually. So like if you're using a scale, you can program the machine to give you a dose based on your desired weight out. Then a simple press of a button gets you that every time. Now, that's a feature perfect for users of every skill level. Once set up, anyone can walk up to the machine, press the brew button, and get an excellent shot of espresso. Temperature settings for the brew boiler and the group head are independently adjustable in 1 degree increments. The Bicocca gives you direct control over steam pressure, anywhere from 0.6 to 1.4 bar. On other machines, you kind of have to guess what boiler temperatures you should set to get a desired pressure. Well, the Bicocca has a unique setup that I find more intuitive. You just set the pressure you want, no guessing required, and just for fun, if you want to go ahead and switch the pressure from bar to PSI, you can do that too, something I've never seen before. I'll have test results for frothing performance coming up. We've been using and testing the machine daily for a few weeks now, and our latte lovers are loving the frothing performance. The Bicocca has a comprehensive and easy-to-use on-off scheduler, set up to 2 different on-off times per day, and toggle schedules with the tap of the touchscreen. And as we found out in our testing, you can also set the steam boiler to turn on or off on any given day with your schedule. I really like how easy it is to see the full week's program, and adjusting the schedules is simple. I've particularly enjoyed this feature, having the machine on and ready for me when I come in to do testing in the morning. It's been, Now, there's a lot more to the menus on this machine, from programming eco modes and automatic cleaning functions. I'm going to go ahead and move on to more exciting stuff now, but if you're curious, let me know in the comments, and I could take a deeper dive on that. The bottom line, with the Bicocca, you've got control over everything. Okay, I've got Ellie with me, and Ellie, thanks for joining me. We're gonna help us show just how easy it is to use this machine, even if you've never really used a machine like this before. In a couple minutes, we're gonna make 2 drinks really quick. So we're gonna do an Americano. Actually, we're gonna do it as a long black. I'll talk about what the difference is there. And we're gonna make a latte, and we're gonna do it all at the same time. And you don't really have to weigh or program or do anything. All right,
Sounds
so
good.
first thing we're gonna have you do is grab out our portafilter and grind some coffee.
Alrighty.
And we're going to use the Etzinger X-Max LM. We've got a little dosing funnel here to keep things clean. This is a weight-based grinder, so you just pop that in there just like that. And then you're going to hit the red button. And this is a weight-based grinder. We're set to 16 grams. It's going to grind all the coffee for you. While it's doing that, let's grab a cup and get some water in there for our Americano / long black. And it's going to be a long black because we're putting the water in the cup first. So I'm just going to have you fill that nearly to the top with some hot water there. And I like it because it's going to cool the water just a little bit by letting it sit in there. Okay, we've got our coffee dose here, so I'll have you pull that off. Just shake it around a little bit because we're using a 16-gram dose. We want to settle that a little bit. And we've got a nice tool over here, this combo leveler tamper from Rocket. So you're going to take the 3-fin part here, turn it on top, and just give it some spins. That's going to level out the coffee for us. And then we're going to turn it upside down there, and then we're just going to squish it to tamp it there. Very nice. And we'll have you all lock that into the portafilter. Before you do that, I always like to do a little flush before, and there's a little flush button. You see little drips up there. And that's just going to clean out the group pad from maybe the last person who didn't clean it. But so it's, yeah, and just twist that in there. Okay, and we'll slide our cup with the hot water under one spout. Then we've got another cup over here we're going to use for our latte. And then up top, we've got a button that's all programmed. All you have to do is push that double cup button. And it's gonna give us our shots. While it's doing that, let's go over, let's get some milk in the pitcher. We want about 5 ounces of milk in that pitcher. And that pitcher's got little cheaters on the side, so you kind of know where to stop. It's got little measurements in there. And this is gonna stop automatically for you. Really nice, right? Okay, so what we want to do now is just purge any condensated water in the wand out. So we'll just give that an open. Kind of go into our top, perfect. And now we're going to position that pitcher right on the deck and get that tip so it's just below the surface of the milk when it's sitting up there. And it's going to kind of froth itself automatically. And just below the surface, open that guy up and let it rip. This should take about 20 seconds. Now, the way I always tell, when the milk is done is just holding the pitcher. When it's getting a little too hot to hold, you're right around 140 degrees. It's a great temperature for a milk drink, where milk is at its sweetest. So just kind of give it a touch. And you can always go a little hotter if you like a hotter drink. How's it feeling?
Oh yeah, that's definitely
That's good?
hot.
Okay, let's turn that off. Now you always want to keep the wand clean, so we'll have you pull that out from under there, use a towel, just wipe the wand down. We're just going to open that valve for a second, just get any extra milk out of there. Beautiful. Now I'm going to just have you swirl that pitcher around a little bit, give it a couple taps maybe a little more swirl, and then pour it over your espresso.
All right, let's give it a try.
Hey, looking good, and it kind of frothed all by itself. I think we're getting pretty close to you might have been able to pour some art with that with a little practice, right? So I'm going to grab our long black here, and I'll give you a little cheers.
Cheers.
And give it a little taste.
Ooh.
How'd you do?
Pretty good.
You like that? Okay. One last thing, we've got a little knock box over here, so I'm going to have you pull that portafilter out of here. Just give that a little knock. Being courteous for the next person who's going to use the machine. You don't want to leave the coffee back in there. And great. And you can actually use that purge again just to give that a little clean. Rinse it out. And then we're good to go. So Ellie, do you think you could walk back in and do that again if I wasn't here?
Oh yeah.
And I mean, the great thing with the Bicocca, of course, this one's plumbed. It's set to turn on automatically in the morning. So really, that's all you have to do, right?
Yeah.
Pretty easy?
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. In our testing here, I'm going to verify that under 12-minute heat up time. have results for SCASE tests of brew temps in normal use situations, and we're going to find out what happens when rapid firing 11 tests in a row at 30-second intervals. I'll check milk frothing performance and water added during steaming, and since the Bicocca has a flow meter for volumetric dosing, I'm going to check the accuracy of that. To test heat up time from cold start, I mounted the SCASE and turned the machine on. I'm looking for time until the brew boiler and steam boiler reach set temperature and pressure, and when the SCASE indicates the group is at operating temperature. For the brew boiler, it was 4 minutes 11 seconds. The steam boiler hit 1.4 bar full pressure in 10 minutes, and the portafilter reached nominal temp above 175 in a little under 10 minutes. Here's a graph of those results. You can see temps in the portafilter overshoot a bit at initial heat up, then settle back to around 175. Overall, my testing shows the Bicocca is ready to go in about 10 minutes. For the, let's say, normal use SCASE testing, I did 4 tests at approximately 3-minute intervals. My target brew temp was 202 Fahrenheit. For that, I set the brew boiler to 202 and the group head temperature to 199, which we determined was best after using the machine for the past few weeks. Here's the first test in full. Now, prior to each test, I do a 3-second flush to wash the group. I do like that flush button right on the display. Makes that super easy. As the test starts, notice how quickly temps reach near 200. Getting there takes more time on most machines I test. From there, it's up to 202.5, around 12 seconds, where it stays rock solid until the end. Now, I'm testing based on standard SCA protocols, targeting 52 grams of water out with standard extraction timing. With volumetric programming, it's easy to get consistent water output. In fact, in the 14 SCASE results we'll look at, none was more than a gram off the target. Here's a graph of this test and the other 3 done at the 3-minute interval. The second test in green is nearly identical to the first. Test 3 in gray drops the hair initially, but it's in the money from 15 on. Same with test 4, undershooting less than a degree, but averaging on target from 15 seconds on. Now, those are really excellent results, but let's say you're banging out extractions for a group as fast as humanly possible. To check that out, here's sped up footage using the same test procedure, running those 11 tests in 11 minutes, so averaging a test about every 30 seconds. Honestly, there's really no way you could pull real extractions this fast, but I wanted to see just what this machine is capable of. So here's a graph of those results. The first test in blue is right on the money, pretty much nailing a 202 average. After that, subsequent temps drop a hair, but for the most part, average an impressive 201.5. Tests 8 through 10 dropped another degree, but test 11 was right back on it at 201.5. Again, this is way outside of normal use, a true stress test to see what the machine is capable of. And I've got to say, I'm impressed. If you can dish it out, the Bicocca can really take it. For milk frothing, I'm using our standard test based on SCA protocols, starting with 148 grams, that's about 5 ounces of milk from the fridge, and measuring how long it takes to froth to above 140 degrees. I did the test 2 times. I set it up to froth hands-free on the deck. Position the wand properly here with the tip just below the milk surface, and it's possible to froth to latte art quality with basically no skill required. I did the froth test 2 times. In the first test, it was about 18.5 seconds to get over 140 and about 17.5 in the second, so the average was 18 seconds. After each test, I weighed the milk and subtracted the starting from ending weight, and the difference was about 17.5 grams for each, which comes out to an 11.8% increase. Now, that's very good, as it's not unusual to see a 15% increase on other machines. Overall, in comparison to other machines I test, the Bicocca is a quick and efficient frother, and while working with it over the last few weeks, our staff, including our latte artists, have appreciated the quality of the froth it produces. All right, I've got Todd with me for an internal tour. Todd, I took some of the panels off of here. The side panels come off. You don't even have to really remove any screws. Just loosen 4 on each side. You're right inside. So let's get into it. What do we got going on?
Sounds good. Well, first thing I want to say is I really like the machine, the way it's built and constructed. It's been like a ground-up machine for Rocket. Up front here, here's your brew group. We'll take a quick look inside here. just comes off with a couple screws. And here you have 2 high limits, manual resets. And then over here you have a, there's your heater for your group, your cartridge heater. And then back there is your 3-way solenoid valve. All this stuff is very accessible.
Get really consistent temperatures, brewing temperatures out of this, as we found in our testing.
Yeah, Mark did all that. Now over here, you have drains for the brew and steam boiler, which is very handy. And then you have a fuse down here. And now what I like really about the machine is everything is so accessible. Like, for example, the heating elements here, both very high quality heating elements too. And 3 bolts, they can pull right out. The boilers also are very easy to remove. With a few bolts, you can pull these out if you need to.
These are stainless steel boilers.
Yep, stainless steel boilers. And there's a high limit for that one. Here's your fill probe.
We've got any internal water sources routed out of the machine?
Yeah, which are the vacuum relief valve and pressure relief valve. And over here is your control board, very accessible. And here's your pump and your capacitor for the pump. Now inside here, it's kind of neat. So here's how the water flow works. The water can come from the reservoir down to this 3-way solenoid valve, or through the water line, then through this pressure regulator, which is a very unique feature here.
So you can plumb this in without using a pressure reducer on the incoming line, because it's
They
built
set
in.
it up with it, which is very unique. And that leads into the solenoid valve. From there, leads out to the pump, comes out of the pump, and up to this block here, and the water goes one of 2 directions, either to fill the boiler, the steam boiler, or over to your brew boiler for brewing. And over here you have your solenoid, or you have your flow meter.
Right, yep.
And you have a pressure sensor up in here.
So you get a digital pressure display in there, so that's where it's getting at.
And one thing that's really nice is they make this as, it's buried in here, but a couple screws and undo like a nut or 2, and you can pull this whole assembly right out.
Right.
So that's the kind of thought process that Rocket put into when they built this machine.
Serviceability here, right?
Serviceability
going on.
Very solid, very high quality parts.
All right, Todd, thanks so much for taking us through the Bicocca.
Happy to do it.
The Bicocca is set up with a collection pan under the drip tray and comes with a drain line. A good idea to use that if you'll be plumbing the machine direct to water line. Also in the box is a braided stainless line for plumbing it in. It comes with single and double spout portafilter and filter baskets, a nice backflush disc, and a nice tamper. We've got here with a Rocket logo. There are wood trim upgrades available from a Vitamin manufacturer in oak, smoked oak, walnut, and olive. Those include knobs for steam and hot water valves and double and bottomless portafilters, which accommodate specialty baskets up to triple shot size. For grinders, you can stay on brand with Rocket's Janino. For weight-based grinding, I like the Etzinger EtzMax LM. It grinds automatically to one of 3 dose weights you set. Nice contemporary look alongside the Bicocca with weight-based grinding, make it easy for anyone to walk up and get a perfect dose every time. The included tamper is nice, but for no skill needed group use, you might consider Rocket's combo leveler and tamper set. Another option is the Bose, an automatic tamper. Just set it on the portafilter and it does the rest. A perfect option if the machine will be used by those without barista skills. And be sure to pick up a knock box for used coffee pucks and a frothing pitcher. If you want to stay on brand, check out Rocket options like I have here. For all dual boiler machines, you should filter water to prevent scale and remove chlorination for best flavor. If you'll be plumbing the machine, we recommend the inline BWT Best Max Premium. Use as directed, and its magnesium ion exchange technology reduces calcium for no scale deposits while maintaining the mineral level needed for good flavor. If using the reservoir, BWT Best Save filter pads or their Aqualizer pitcher gives you the same results. You know, the Rocket Bicocca is a fantastic option for the home or office divided, as long as there's one person who knows what they're doing to set it up. And as we saw, anyone can learn to make a great drink in just minutes. And that espresso nerd, well, they're going to be happy too. For those interested, the Bicocca offers ample opportunities for tweaking variables and experimenting with different brew temperatures, pre-infusion profiles, and more. Personally, I could totally see this machine as a unique and compelling amenity for a bed and breakfast, or even a focal point of a party. Its high level of programmability and push button operation opens so many doors for newbies and experts alike to enjoy the experience of preparing espresso drinks and learn something new. And it'll hold up to the level of consistent use. As we saw, you could really pull a shot every 30 seconds on the Bicocca with super consistent temperatures. I've never seen performance like this on a prosumer level machine, and it's due in part to the new group head design. Once again, I'm Mark. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions about the Bicocca here, make sure you drop them down in the comments so I can get you a detailed answer. And if you enjoyed this video, or you just love coffee and espresso as much as I do, go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more of the best on everything coffee, brought to you by Latte Love.